Just ahead on CTV News.
Democratic lawmakers rallied outside the Office of Management and Budget today to denounce the firing of federal workers. I'm Jonathan Hunter. I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, the county makes a huge investment into mental health care. And the county council addresses new ways to combat truancy. Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for October 14th. I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, as the government shutdown enters into its second week, thousands of federal workers are being fired, something President Donald Trump said would happen if the shutdown continued. CTV's Jonathan Hunter has reaction from lawmakers in Maryland and Virginia who are outraged.
Democratic lawmakers from Virginia and Maryland rallied outside the Office of Management and Budget to send a message to its director, Russ Vought, and President Donald Trump. They say the firings are illegal and need to stop. More than 4,200 employees across 7 agencies have been laid off as a result of the government shutdown. OMB Director Russ Vought said on X, the rifts have begun. Those are reduction in force notices. Lawmakers from Maryland and Virginia are not happy.
Donald Trump and Russ Vought and all their cronies are using this moment to terrorize these patriotic federal employees.
And I have, for example, neighbors who said their entire division was wiped out as of Friday in the Internal Revenue Service.
One of those who came to today's rally is Charlotte Colvin. She was a federal worker who was laid off back in January. But her husband is a furloughed federal worker, and she is worried.
We've been very concerned that he will actually end up being fired as a result of what's going on. But it just it makes me really angry, to be honest with you.
Democracy Forward is a nonprofit that provides legal services. Rob Schreiber says their organization filed an emergency motion right after the rifts were sent out Friday.
And no matter what happens, we will continue to fight these illegal rifts. We'll fight them tomorrow, we'll fight them next week, we'll fight them 2 months from now, 2 years from now, as long as it takes.
It's hard enough that we're having a shutdown, but to think that people will now also lose their jobs and that the administration is just using this as an excuse to fire people, it just makes me sick.
Congressman Andy Harris, Maryland's lone Republican in the congressional delegation, released a statement saying, in part, despite the high number of federal workers in our state, I was the only member of our delegation to vote to keep the government open. Governor Moore and Maryland Democrats talk about supporting workers, but their actions tell a different story. And Republican U.S. Senator Susan Collins of Maine says she strongly opposes the firing of federal workers. She says their work is incredibly important to serving the public. At Washington, D.C., I'm Jonathan Hunter for CTV News.
All right, Jonathan, thanks so much for that report. Today, the Office of Management and Budget wrote on X, quote, "The White House is making every preparation to batten down the hatches and ride out the Democrats' intransigence." Meanwhile, the clock is ticking in Washington, and House Speaker Mike Johnson says this could become the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. It's day 14, and federal buildings, museums, and even airports are feeling the impact. House Republicans are refusing to negotiate until Democrats drop demands on health care funding. Democrats want the ACA tax credits extended, and Republicans say not until the government reopens. The Trump administration has taken the unprecedented step of firing thousands of federal workers, drawing union lawsuits, and leaving communities reeling.
Their position is this, Manu. Their position is they want to spend $1.5 trillion in your tax dollars to fund nonsense overseas. They want to give $200 billion to illegal aliens. We are not going to do that. We're not going to do it. The American people don't want us to do it. And they're using this for partisan political purposes to give themselves cover. They don't want the Marxist to kick. Chuck Schumer doesn't want to get a Marxist candidate challenge, AOC or someone else. Mamdani is probably going to be sadly, shockingly, the mayor of New York City. Marxism is on the rise. Hey, this is not your father's Democratic Party, everybody, okay? They're turning into communists, openly.
The longest shutdown on record lasted 35 days back in 2019. This one is already closing in fast. Meanwhile, with the government shutdown continuing, states across the country are getting worried they may not get repaid once the government reopens. Right now, states are continuing to operate programs serving some of the neediest people. That includes the federally subsidized meals students get at school. But if the shutdown continues to drag on, those federal dollars may run out. There's now concern states may not get reimbursed for federal dollars once the government reopens. And help is on the way, at least for now, for the federal nutrition program that supports millions of women, infants, and children. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is transferring $300 million into WIC to keep it running through the end of October. The move comes as the government shutdown continues, leaving states scrambling to cover costs. Here in Maryland, more than 121,000 people rely on WIC benefits for healthy food, nutrition education, and support services. And thousands of Maryland seniors are getting some bad news this fall. Their Medicare Advantage plans are ending. Insurers, including Aetna and Humana, are shrinking or pulling out of these parts of the state, citing the high cost of Maryland's unique hospital system. That means many older residents will have to find new coverage for 2026, and in some cases, new doctors and hospitals. Industry experts warn as many as 100,000 Marylanders could be impacted. And to wrap up the Can We Talk Arts and Wellness Summit, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation held a star-studded brunch. Focusing on the theme, I Am the Table, Taraji P. Henson and Prince George's Council Chairman Edward Burrows announced a $30 million investment in a community center in Temple Hills. The partnership will help reduce adult loneliness, rates of suicide, and introduce new ways to cope with mental struggles among Prince George's residents.
And we're proud to announce that Prince George's County and the Boris L. Henson Foundation have agreed to team up to partner to build a $30 million Healing Arts Integrated Wellness Hub. It will offer a state-of-the-art facility. It will integrate creative arts, wholeness, wellness practices, evidence-based mental health services, all in a culturally responsible environment. There will be something at this center for people of all ages, from our youngest child to our senior citizens.
And MGM National Harbor was the host site of the three-day summit. While county students repeatedly not showing up to school is a serious problem in the Prince George's County school system. The Truancy Study Work Group has come up with 32 recommendations to address truancy and chronic absenteeism. Truancy is defined as 20% or more of unexcused absenteeism, and chronic absenteeism is described as having an absent rate of 10% or more. Officials with the Education and Workforce Development Committee says high school truancy remains high at 16.4%. Some of the recommendations include creating an attendance monitoring system, truancy prevention workshops, and family attendance contracts, among others.
There's a lot of reasons why kids are absent from school, whether it's childcare, whether it's transportation, just lack of access. There's a lot of reasons, mental health issues. So there's a lot of reasons why kids avoid school or are not in attendance. And so that's really the first part, is really focusing on how can we prevent truancy in the first place. And then it shifts into, okay, but now a child is still truant. We've tried all of those things. Now what do we have to do? Or they're currently truant. What do we do to get them back into school?
Officials say truancy in the county school district went up in 2021, but has been on the decline ever since. You're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Still to come, it was a busy weekend throughout the county, from officers and churches coming together to residents riding bikes to raise awareness. I have those stories and more when we return. Stay with us.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
A student sent to the hospital and shots fired near campus. That is what happened shortly after dismissal at Bowie High School yesterday. According to the Bowie Police Department, officers responded to an armed robbery incident after two suspects driving in a black Acura beat up a student for their moose knuckles jacket. A bystander tried to follow the car until one of the suspects fired two shots in the air to scare them off. This is a picture of the vehicle with license plate number 1BY8071. Anyone with information on the suspects are asked to contact police. Meanwhile, the Prince George's County Police Department is mourning the loss of one of their beloved patrol officers. Alex Belcher passed away on October 8th after battling a medical issue. POFC Belcher was in the department for 7 years and served the District 1 in Hyattsville. He earned a unit citation, a life-saving award, and was named Officer of the Month numerous times. He leaves behind his fiancée, Emily, his parents, stepfather, 2 brothers, and a half-sister. He was only 32 years old. Well, this weekend, the Prince George's County Police Department and the Kent Baptist Church in Hyattsville hosted a community day. A part of the National Faith and Blue Weekend, it aimed to build bridges between local law enforcement and the community. The day was filled with fun, food, and music.
This is our event that we're partnering with Prince George's County Police, because you can't have impact the community without having the police department as well as the churches coming together as one to go out and make a difference.
This is, not just Sunday mornings, right? It's bringing service and our community together, and especially in a time where people want to be safe and understand all of that goes into our sheriff's department, our police department, our Office of Homeland Security at the county. So it's great.
And if you happen to be in Bowie this weekend, you might have seen a lot of purple and bikers. That's because the 6th annual Purple Bike Ride took place. The Purple Bike Ride was hosted by County Executive Aisha Braveboy and brings awareness to domestic violence. Now, people of all ages and bikers of all levels took part in the ride. Some people were even first-timers.
We're doing the 10. We chickened out with the 30, but we're going to do the 10 today.
This is so significant because we can all play a role in detecting and preventing and supporting our victims of domestic violence. So it's a community effort, and that's why the community is out here saying that we are standing with the victims and survivors, and we ride for them.
This year offered multiple ride options, including a 30-mile advance ride, 10-mile intermediate ride, and a 3-mile family ride. Meanwhile, the Neighborhood Well, a nonprofit, set up shop over the weekend with their mobile shower program, providing warm showers for people. The program is provided every 2nd and 4th Saturday of the month. This Saturday's host location was at the First United Methodist Church of Hyattsville, and the mobile shower trailer contains separate stalls with a shower, toilet, and sink where people can bathe and groom in private. Now, the organization also provides meals and hygiene items and clothing to those who need it.
Prince George's County is an interesting place because the houselessness situation isn't always as obvious and evident as you might see in a bigger city. So it was important to us that we made sure that the service was still here for the people that might get overlooked, who actually need it.
And the Neighborhood Well is looking to expand the program and partner with new host locations. Well, the University of Maryland's Student Government Association voted on an anti-Israel resolution. The decision has been met with criticism because the vote came on the same day as Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday. The SGA passed a resolution urging the university to disassociate from corporations, institutions, and academic entities that support or profit from Israel's defense and security industries. University of Maryland President Daryl Pines wrote in a memo that he was disappointed the vote came on the same day as the Jewish holiday. And we now have a major switch up in leadership within the state's police department. Governor Wes Moore announced Friday that Corporal Roland Butler will be retiring from his role as the Maryland State Police Superintendent, effective on November 1st. Moore appointed Butler as the first Black state police superintendent in 2023 and has served with the department for nearly 30 years. Stepping in the new position will be Maryland State Senator Michael A. Jackson, who previously served as the Prince George's County Sheriff. Jackson will start his role as interim superintendent on November 12th. And an audit recently found credit card oversight at the Department of Assessments. The report claims 37 employees had corporate credit cards and made thousands of purchases worth $2.3 million from 2022 through fiscal year 2025. One targeted employee made questionable purchases and payments on behalf of 2 senior management employees at SDAT. The audit also found that the employee paid for personal utilities, gas, and phone bills. The employee was fired in August of 2024, and according to the Office of Legislative Audits, the investigation was sparked by a tip. And still to come on CTV News, it's a pain that's often felt in silence during Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. We speak with Dr. Hack about how awareness and understanding can help families heal. We'll be right back.
We are women first, but women with disabilities last.
During a military exercise, we crashed and I broke my neck.
When I was in the Air Force, an accident changed my life. I couldn't have imagined the injustices I would face.
Every day, women like me go to the doctor for annual checkups for conditions like breast cancer. Early detection saved my life. But women with disabilities face a cruel reality: inaccessible medical facilities and equipment.
In the 25 years since my injury, I have not seen a gynecologist. There's not one accessible OBGYN in my community.
I found lumps in my breast. I went to a doctor's office I was told was accessible, but when I got there, I couldn't get through the front door.
I don't know where I'd be today without access to testing. Our veterans deserve better. Help PVA fight for access at pva.org.
If words were enough, I would help you bear your burden. I would watch each child of yours grow strong and true. Teach them to read and to write and to sing, so that their voices be forgotten nevermore. If words were enough, I would sate your hunger, and you would know you are my sister, my brother, my child. If words were enough.
It's so hard to predict a sick kid who just keep getting sicker, but we needed to be together as a family. My family is my entire life. My family means the world to me.
When we're together and we have support from Ronald McDonald House, we can be a little stronger. They provide food and a place to rest your head, and they will help you through every step. That's what gets you through every day when you don't know how else you're going to make it.
It makes you feel like you're not alone.
Welcome back. Pregnancy is often seen as a joyful and hopeful time, but for many families, that journey is interrupted by heartbreak. Miscarriage and stillbirth are deeply personal and often misunderstood forms of pregnancy loss that affect millions around the world, yet they're rarely talked about openly. Returning today to help us get a better understanding is Dr. Stephanie Hack. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about what exactly is a miscarriage and stillbirth and what actually happens during that time.
So a miscarriage is any pregnancy loss that you have that occurs before 20 weeks of pregnancy. And then a stillbirth is any pregnancy where the fetus or baby dies after 20 weeks and before birth.
Gotcha. And tell me a little bit about why those things actually happen. What is going on with a woman's body that it is causing a miscarriage?
The most common reason that women miscarry is because of genetic abnormalities. So it most commonly happens in the first trimester, 13 weeks or earlier. And for stillbirth, we don't know often what happens. It could be infection. It could be a problem with the placenta. It could be issues with baby growing or chronic conditions related to the mom. So things like high blood pressure and diabetes, all of those things could potentially cause a stillbirth.
Gotcha. Now, when a woman is pregnant, are there any warning signs of a miscarriage or stillbirth? And can a woman be absolutely healthy and still go through these things?
The most common way that we know that someone might miscarry is they begin to have bleeding and pain. I'd say that's the first thing that we realize when someone miscarries. Now, sometimes someone can go in for an ultrasound and find that when they had an ultrasound with a fetal heartbeat before, they come back and there just isn't one. And then they'll experience those other symptoms. With stillbirth, women often report not feeling the baby move as much, and then they might not feel the baby move at all. And then we go and do an ultrasound and confirm that there's no fetal heartbeat. And it can happen for someone who is completely healthy, and most of the time, they're completely healthy.
Gotcha. And so how can family and friends support someone who's gone through this? I mean, usually people or women are usually, quiet about these things. They don't want to share that information. But if someone does share that with a loved one, how can they support that friend or family member?
You're so right. There is a lot of shame around miscarrying or stillbirth, infant and pregnancy loss, because our initial instinct is there's something that I did. What did I do wrong? And then you start kind of playing that through your head. And then many people have never had that experience, thank goodness, although they are relatively common. At least miscarriages happens in about 1 in 10 known pregnancies. Stillbirth is fortunately less common, but still happens in about 1 in 160 births. So as common or uncommon as they are, people still don't really know what to say. And it's really a matter of acknowledging and listening. I think those are the two biggest things. And fortunately now we have more resources than we did in the past. I volunteer with an amazing organization called Stillbirth and Infant Loss Support and Awareness. And they provide resources. And so having that conversation with your healthcare provider, having that conversation with your OBGYN, your midwife, they can often point you to resources to help.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those like support services and things like that. Are there support groups for women that have gone through that?
Yes. SAILS, the organization that I mentioned, Stillbirth and Infant Loss Awareness. So what we do is we do focus groups. So often what people need to do is they need an opportunity to talk, and they need an opportunity to talk to someone that's had a similar experience. And there are many support groups like that, not just that particular organization. So looking locally for a group like that, and then your OBGYN or midwife might be able to point you into the direction of something like that. In your hospital, sometimes they can point you to support groups. So there are resources available for people who want to talk more about it.
And lastly, why is it so important to talk about pregnancy loss?
Because before, as we kind of talked about, there's a lot of shame about it, a lot of guilt. And it's really important that moms know that it's not your fault. And if you're having these conversations in isolation, if you're not talking to anybody about it, you just kind of carry that with you. So you need an outlet. You need support.
Absolutely. Dr. Hack, thanks so much for joining us again. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, for more information on women's health and Dr. Hack's podcast, visit ladypartsdoctor.com. All right, don't go away. Simon Buggs has our Tuesday sports page, and I hear we have a lot of football news to cover. Simon, what's going on?
Stay right there for your Tuesday sports page, everyone, because I have some high school football highlights in store for you. Don't move.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life, and you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Type 2, take 2.
Action. You've been diagnosed with a new purpose, to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself, to look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
Okay, sports fans, it's been a long wait, but your Tuesday sports page is finally here. Now, there was a ton of high school football action over the weekend, and for our first story, we take a trip to Bladensburg as the Mustangs hosted Flowers. Now, the Jaguars wasted no time making plays as on the opening kickoff, Kavari Durandis found some daylight, and it was a wrap after that as no one from Bladensburg could bring him down, and he went all the way to the end zone for a Jaguars touchdown to go up 8-0 after the 2-point conversion. And the Mustangs offense didn't even see the field afterwards as Blade had a bad fumble after being tackled during the kickoff. The ball was then recovered by Flowers, putting them in prime field position. And the Jags were able to punch another one in thanks to Cody Gardner running it in for the easy touchdown. Flowers now up 15-0 on the Mustangs after the made extra point. And mistakes on the offensive end for Blade, like the center hiking the ball too high, prevented them from scoring in the quarter. The Jaguars ended up scoring 2 more touchdowns before the end of the quarter, and it was over after that, guys, as Flowers gave Bladensburg straight belt, winning the game 57-0. Meanwhile, it was a close game over in Largo as Frederick Douglass was only up 6-0 on the Lions with about 7 minutes left in the second quarter. But that soon changed as the Eagles continued to pound the rock, and running back Jonathan Minnick was able to get into the end zone for a Frederick Douglass touchdown. And now the Eagles were up 12-0 on Largo. Fast forward to later in the quarter, the Lions were moving the ball well, but the offensive drive came to a halt after QB Akeem Jervis threw this costly pick, and the Lions went into halftime down 12-0. The Eagles got the ball in the third quarter, and the team got in red zone territory almost immediately after QB John Pinckney got loose and saw nothing but grass for a while before finally being taken down by the Lions. And Frederick Douglass continued to get it done on the ground, scoring another rushing touchdown courtesy of Sean Howard. Eagles now up 20-0. Now, even though they were scoreless in the quarter, Laurel still made some nice plays, like Tymon Fox running it up the gut and taking some Eagles defenders along for a ride before finally being brought down. And in the end, the Lions ended the game being shut out, losing the matchup 20-0. Moving on to more high school football news, some shocking news coming out of Flowers High School as football head coach Damian Powell has been removed from his role. This comes after an investigation that was launched on October 8th revealed that Powell was allowing an ineligible freshman player to take part in varsity football games. Along with Powell being removed from his role, all games that the freshman player participated in had been forfeited. Powell was actively appealing this decision. In other news, my Washington Commanders took the field last night for a primetime matchup against the Chicago Bears. But unfortunately, Chicago went back to the Windy City with bragging rights as Washington lost the game 25-24. Turnovers were a major factor in the loss as the Commanders had 3 of them. One of them by Jaden Daniels, a fumble in the fourth quarter, helped Chicago get into field goal position to win them the game. Here's Daniels and others after the disappointing loss.
I'm not going to sit up here and blame it on the elements. I mean, at the end of the day, I got to focus. I get paid to go out there and focus, play in and play out, and I had a lack of focus right there, and it cost us the game.
We're going to continue to improve each and every week, and we're playing a lot of good football teams, and we just didn't make enough plays today, but it's not like we weren't there to make them.
You know, this one stings for sure. We got to flip it around. It's a short week for us, you know, playing on Sunday, division game, so, you know, we're going to go and correct this game and, you know, get ready for Dallas.
We knew going into the game that it was going to be whoever won the turnover battle. So on defense, we just got to find a way to hunt the ball better, get out the field on third down, and just get the ball back to our offense.
Washington will take the field next versus the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. And that wraps up your Tuesday sports page. Back to you, Michaela.
All right, thanks, Simon. Let's take a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be cloudy with light winds. Tomorrow is going to be sunny with a high of 70. Thursday will be sunny as well. We'll have a high of 63 with wind speeds reaching as high as 20. And Friday will also be sunny with a high of 41. And for our community calendar, this Friday, the Foodie Culture and Festival is returning to the National Harbor with over 40 food trucks, sweet treats, and dozens of artisans. There's something there for everyone. For more information, contact the Foodies on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. That wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.